Live. All right, got it. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. For me, this is 5 p.m. in the afternoon in Tel Aviv, Israel. And for me, where I'm jet lagged from, it's 10 a.m. in the East Coast. And I think we have, at least Martha was up here this morning, is in Florida. So representing the original timeline. So good morning for all of you just waking up in the East Coast and different places in the United States and Canada. I also know we have people watching this from Australia, New Zealand. I see you guys. It's really nice once I have the website on and people are checking out the workshop. It doesn't give me your specific hidden details, but I can of where people around the world are coming into the website of the workshop. And I was floored. I was like, there's people from South Africa, Australia, Hong Kong, Singapore. So everybody, we are a really global group. And it's really nice to remember that, as much as I like to often kind of gently hate on Facebook for a great many things, it does allow us to do this work together across the world. So welcome everybody. And I want to again remind everyone who is watching this here or watching this later, you can, if you're watching right now, you're more than welcome to join us as we do the session on the Zoom. The Zoom link is linked. If you are watching this live on Academic Writers Unblocked, it's linked to the event page that I created, the invitation for the event, meaning you can go through the event and just say join event, and it would join you to the link for the Zoom, and you just have to register because it wants your name and email. I promise no nefarious thing. I'm not going to do anything with that. It's just Zoom safety. And you can join on the Zoom. You don't have to be a part of the online conversation, but even if you are, it's only in the confines of, Academic Writers Unblocked, the Facebook group, the YouTube channel, etc. So it's not going anywhere beyond that. All right. So with that said, we have a couple of people here, and I know a couple more people trying to join. And I see some people watching already live on Facebook. So this is all exciting. Let us start. So I just wanted to, come up here for a quick office hour. I know there's a couple of people who are willing to share a little bit of what they have going on, who are on the call right now. So hopefully maybe we'll get to some questions later. I'll just start by saying, guys, I know it's not summer everywhere, but it is summer in the half of the hemisphere I'm on. But even if it's not summer for you, I know that these months can be the winter break for you. And it's a time where many academic writers are doing one of two things. Either they are working on their writing and they're like in it, or they worry about it. Or a little bit of both. You might be working and actually making progress, but maybe you don't even know that you're making as much progress as you actually are making because you're, stressed, freaked out, don't have the right, I don't want to say don't have the right, but you still have a ways to go in fostering and cultivating a mindset that allows you to see that the only way to make progress is by making small gains that eventually lead to bigger accomplishments. So many times, like these last couple of days, everybody that I've had a one-on-one with in my established group of writers, I keep hearing the same things. People are telling me that they're not motivated or they're not working enough. And then when we actually get it in the nitty-gritty and I have them name out for me everything that they do, they are actually doing a great amount of work. They're negotiating, the end of some people are still in the last kind of moments of grading or, whatever, transitioning to summer, and they have obligations that have to do with their family, their children, whoever it is that depends on them. And they're preparing for next year, or they're on the market, or they're like doing conferences, or they're traveling. So there is just so much we can do and put on ourselves this expectation to achieve without giving ourselves. So this is like the big takeaway for me to remind you guys today, that we need to also allow ourselves this time of rest and recharge, and that kind of just sweet nothing, to be in that place where you allow yourself to be and not do, and by being and not doing, everything gets done in the end. So that's kind of something I just want to start by reminding everybody. Now, again, there's going to be some time for questions later, but I did want to start by showing everybody, by talking a little bit about foundational workshop and answering some of the questions that are coming up, and also telling you what kind of feedback I want from you guys. So, quick recap. Earlier on this summer, I just asked on the group of academic writers and blog, hey, who wants support for their summer writing? I know I didn't go into details and I didn't say this is for a paid workshop, but I just wanted to see where people are. And it kind of exploded. There was a lot of you that came in and saying, me, I want support. So, I wasn't going to offer an additional workshop this summer because I'm in the throes of a very long workshop. That's my advanced workshop. And this one is an 8 months workshop. And we set it up so that we did a lot of work leading to summer. And now everybody's on summer break and they're writing. And when we come back and we do the harvest session of advanced workshop, we read each other and give each other feedback. And while we do this, each and every one of these writers also have a lot of one-on-one time with me, and I do developmental editing with them on their books. As a rule, this is a more advanced group because usually it's research professors who have funding, although we do have graduate students or actually, somebody that's done, her dissertation is done, but she's, precarious. So she's working, trying to get that tenure track job. I was able to offer that person a deep discount because I always do that. I always try to shift I'm like a little bit of an academic Robin Hood. I shift the funding from the funded to the non-funded. So my plate is full. I'm happily working. This is like, paying the bills, keeping the lights on. But because I really actually adore teaching foundational workshop, this is where I can really take somebody from early on in their process where they don't know how to write. They're not trained as writers. They are really not enjoying writing. They're not enjoying their writing life. They have bad habits and everything. And when you bring together a group of academics, so many of us share these stories. And the power of the group in foundational, what happens when we bring this, a group of people together, and usually we have more advanced people and, people who are just, doing graduate school, just began, and all the way up to full professors, and everybody is in the same boat. And we go through, I may say so myself, a fantastic program that I put together. And the reason I put that program together was when I was still on the tenure track, I was again, if I may say so myself, a pretty popular graduate advisor. I had 6 PhD students. And part of the reason was, I was just telling Martha, I was on this call here, that the reason what I ended up doing is most of my graduate seminars became writing seminars, even if they were supposed to be content or theory seminars. Of course, we covered these things, but I could just see that my students would benefit so much more from me creating an environment, fostering an environment of support for their writing. Because it's not about, I can teach you the style, I can teach you the craft, I can teach you a lot of different things, but it's more, I think, what academic writers need is somebody to come in and just say, this is normal and this is okay. You don't, you're not supposed to know how to write before you practice writing. Writing and learning how to write is a lifelong process. And it's more about creating an environment of, I call it no nonsense, no panic, no competition, right? All the toxic stuff that ends up happening when people are stressed out and they're put together in a, be it a grad class or they're in tenure track together and they're feeling like they're competing. There's a lot of that in academia. So we don't need that. So what I do in my workshops, and that's true for all my programs, is I'm really, again, I sound like I'm not trying to be boastful, but like I have learned, I'm experienced, and I'm good at creating an environment of support, of gentle, loving, warm accountability where we come together. And the way we do that is by coming in and sharing with vulnerability. We tend to want to share in academia only when we feel like we're perfect. Like when you can come in and be like, I published this and it went there and I won this award and I won, right? But you don't really create powerful, strong, supportive relationships by only showing up when you feel like you can boast and be a winner. The way we create human contact and relationships is by sharing our vulnerability, sharing when something hurts, when something scares us, when we don't know, when we're not certain, when we don't, we have the self-worth. So the environment that's created in my workshop really allows people to just, it's almost like, open the top button of your jeans, like, relax. And in that place of allowing yourself to relax, the rest of the stuff that I do, which is, teach you, name and find out what your writing block, your traumas, your hindrance, the places where you don't feel confident, the places where you feel less than, or right. We first go into a deep dive. We do shadow work on all sorts of more Jungian kind of practices and mindfulness practices that allow you to come into contact with the part of you that is the creative part. I said it many times, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating this and you're hearing this. The part of us that our writer is our creative part, and this is our inner child. It's a very, very young part of our psyche. If, the theory is that there is more than one me running around in your brain, there's a conversation, right? There's a million voices. So for example, one of the exercises that I really like to do with people is I mention to them that writing is so hard for one reason is that we are both labor and management when we write. And a lot of the time we end up being horrible managers. We end up being, the kind of manager that we hate, that we would not want to work for. We would not want that person to be our boss. So for example, I have people write a letter for their manager, either firing them or saying, you're burnt out, you're exhausted, let me send you, on vacation. And then we write another letter and we put a description of who do we want to hire as your manager, right? So all sorts of, and I know it could sound a little silly, but let me tell you, that kind of stuff early on that we do in the foundational workshop really helps set people up to name and therefore heal and realign and release their traumas, their sense of imposter syndrome or that empty competition that just makes us feel stressed and is ruining our body with adrenaline. And we create this environment that then, as we go on, and I'll show you in a minute what's going on in the workshop, we can do that work together. So you know what, actually, let me jump in without further ado. Okay, but hang on, let me make sure that in the background I have, I'm going to try to share the screen. And those of you who are on the Zoom, let me know if you're seeing the website for the workshop. Maybe do a thumbs up or just write in the chat. Are you seeing this? I'm going to assume yes, unless you tell me no. All right, so I just wanted to show you the website for Foundational. And in a minute, I'll talk about all the stuff about me and what are we going to do. I'll just say right there, I do not want anybody's, thank you, you guys are seeing it. Great. I don't want anybody who wants to be in Foundational Workshop to not join just because they don't have the funds. I've worked with many people before on figuring out either deep discounts or breaking up things, figuring out fee-free ways to join. So try not to even think about this too much right now. Just familiarize yourself with what is on offer and see if you want to do this and if the timing is right. And also another point about that, the timing I put together for this is kind of quick. It starts July 14th. I don't necessarily need to start July 14th. The reason I said let's start July 14th was to try to in my mind, this is for summer. And when we get to August 10, many of you start teaching already and the moment has passed. So I try to, since I don't think I can do this in less than 8 weeks unless I radically change it. I wanted to start early so that we're still done by September 1st. So that's the reason for the timing, but I'm very open to offering this later if this is something you want to talk to me about. So the early bird special is $450. There are still spots for that. The regular enrollment price is $550. We're not there yet. If you need a fee-free or alternative payment option, or you need to ask for scholarship, it says click here. Basically, it gives you my email and then you can email me. So you don't have to click here. You can just contact me. You can contact me, DM me on Facebook or email me or anything like that. But if you are ready to, if you're watching this and you know that you are ready to grab your spot and you want to just go ahead and do it, you can always click here. It will take you to PayPal and you can just pay and you know, go on with your life. All right. What I wanted to show you next was just the schedule. So again, each week, students get a pre-recorded lesson and a set of readings and exercises, and you get that on Monday. And you have the whole week to work on. And by the way, you can get the first set of things upon enrollment. So you can get more than 1 week. And if you know that you have more time a certain week, I'm always happy to share. Actually, once you're on the Facebook group, all the weeks are up there and you can continue to work self-paced. You can continue to work ahead with the pre-recorded lessons and the readings. You don't have to wait for us. But then every Friday, we do a live workshop. So pay attention. What you're getting here for, you know, it's do the math, 450, if you take it 8 weeks, you know, divide that, and you get 2 workshops. You get the pre-recorded workshop that you watch on your own, and then you get the long live workshop that's usually, you know, an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, where we all Friday. And we make sure, first of all, if you didn't have time to watch the pre-recorded lesson or read the readings, no worries. I make sure I catch everybody up in live workshop. And then we do the actual workshop. We write, we talk, we share. I do some coaching. I can't, depending on the size of the group, I usually can't coach everybody every week, but I will try to make sure everybody gets like their one-on-one coaching. And it really helps people to hear other people struggling with the same things and the conversation, because it's so easy for you to see when somebody else is being kind of self-critical. It's easier for you to see it when somebody else does it than when you do it. So people really learn a lot from attending the live workshop and see each other's process. All right, so quickly, let me just show you how we progress. So week 1, upon enrollment, you get lesson 1, and that's just an introduction. It's called Writing as Practice and Process. It sets up like the approach. And then we do introductions. This is actually a really important session. The first session when we do introductions is the one where I make sure everybody, again, depending if it's like 25 people, maybe not so much, but if it's like 15, we go around and everybody introduces themselves and shares a little bit about what brought them here and what's going on and how it's going. And a lot of the time I launch right into coaching the people who are on even during introductions, because this is how we start doing the work. We start talking. We start really naming the reality of what is going on with us as we write. Okay, then week 2, you get the lesson that's called The Science Behind Writer's Block. This week, the readings that you get are a lot of really, some of the best, most fantastic, most helpful readings I've ever located on the topic of writer's block. And then since most of this is written with artistic kind of creative writers in mind, I do the work of kind of bridging the gap and talking about what that might look like in an academic setting, because I do think the academic writer's block is its own phenomenon and it's worth kind of spending time on that. But this also gives you kind of like the brain science and what happens in terms of your body and your anxiety and how all of that functions to block you. And so we read stuff from psychology, we read stuff from kind of mindfulness and meditation, we read some stuff from fantastic books about writing. It sounds like a lot, but I make sure the readings are short and they're fun, easy readings. And we start, and again, we all move together, we move the needle, and we try to bring you to that place where you can align with a gentle, mindful, self-compassionate approach to yourself as you manage your own psyche, as you learn how to rewire the habits that you have around writing, which is the next section, right? So the next lesson 3 is called, so this is when we kind of roll our sleeves up and get into the nitty-gritty, and we start introducing a lot of practical tools. I never make everybody use the same tool. I introduce a lot of different ones, and I encourage everybody to kind of figure out what works for them. You have to experiment with things, and you have to make it your own. I don't believe in, adhering in a rigid way to someone's method. It just doesn't work. What works for me might not work for you. And this is where, again, a lot of the one-on-one coaching happens, is when you guys learn the tools during the workshop and then you start practicing it. And in live workshop, when we meet on Friday, I always ask, okay, you want to share with me a little bit, how it's going? Did you try this? Did you try that? And people share, okay, I tried that and that really worked, or I tweaked it in this way, or I tweaked it in that way. And then that way I also learn a lot of new things, because people share new apps and new websites and new things, right? So it's all kind of cyclical, and, it's the gift that gives as it receives, and receives as it gives. You give to the group and you get from the group. It's really beautiful what ends up happening. All right. Lesson 4 and live workshop 4 starts dealing with what usually people think we're going to deal with in this kind of workshop, which is learning. I don't even want to say time management, because I think time management is language that's really steeped in the kind of bad habits that we have, and harsh ways to deal with ourselves that we have. Like, I need to learn how to manage time, and I don't know how to manage time. And I hear this all the time. So let me tell you, if you got yourself through a BA and an MA and a PhD, and maybe you finished the PhD or you're getting ready to finish it, you don't have problems managing time. Okay. You've already learned how to cope with whatever, original problems you have. And it's usually you are thinking that you should be able to do more than is humanly possible, rather than you don't know how to manage time. But what we do in first week, I call it a writer's time, and the live workshop is called the time dance, because I really see it as a way to, I'll stop share to just say this. And I've mentioned this, if you guys have done, and I know a lot of you. So Martha was up here, said that she was like following me for the last few years. So, you might have seen it in the free trainings that I give. And you guys, please check my YouTube channel for all the free trainings as well. I always tell people that we tend to try to control rather than understand our own sense of inner timing. We all are timed machines. And everybody here that's in a relationship already knows what I'm going to say right now, which is every single person on earth has a different sense of time. You have the on-time people and the always late people, and the this and the that. You have the people who need to sit on a couch for they can get up and move a mountain. And you have the people that really have to be there for 8 hours, clicking away, very consistent. There is no point in fighting with your own inner innate sense of timing. So this is my premise, where I start with people. When I look at time, I don't look at time management. I have people look at what I call your own time and energy needs. You cannot argue with what you need. You cannot argue with how many hours of sleep your body needs. You cannot argue with whether or not you are a person who needs to be home alone quietly to get work done, or you are a person who needs to be in a coffee shop with a lot of people. If you need to be home alone, but you're not home alone because you have 2 kids at home, and I don't know, a husband or a partner who also works at home, then you have a problem. And trying to fight with that problem rather than recognize it and try to find solutions for that problem, that becomes a big reason for people to get really blocked, because they put more energy into just saying, well, if I have a problem with it, it's because I'm lazy, or I'm too sensitive, or I'm this, or I'm that. So what we do with that section when we talk about time is we start with really, it's kind of a sobriety thing. We take an emotionally sober look at what it is you need. And then we take an emotionally sober look at what it is that prevents you from allowing yourself to need what you need. And then when you do that, it's kind of like, I don't have to do the last part. You naturally then gravitate towards making small changes that I can help you identify to make sure that what you need drives how you approach organizing your time. Of course, there are certain things that are always, you can't control, but there is a lot more that you can control than you tend to think. All right, back to the workshop schedule. After we do the time dance, the second part of the time is lesson 5, and that is called the project schedule. So we go from, right, so the first thing we do when we look at time is looking at your own dance with time, and then we try to understand how do we organize ourselves and plan without the pitfall of making a plan that making a promise that you cannot keep, and then getting stuck, and then feeling bad about it, et cetera, et cetera. So we read and we explore different approaches and different methods, all the book in a year methods. But again, my approach is I never say like, okay, this is the one, let's all learn how to do this. No, I show you how people have approached, because we're academics, we like to read the literature. So we look at different ways that people have approached organizing themselves, and then we tailor your own best practice, and we give you a lot of opportunity to practice these things. All the tools and hacks that I find useful, the handwritten schedule. Again, if you've been following me for a while, and you might have seen this on my YouTube channel, I'm a big one for, do I have it here? For, I make my own hand. There you go. This is, I'll show how to stop sharing. This is, for example, my schedule for this summer. And you can see that I painted it with some markers, and these orange things are advanced workshop. So, for example, this is all the way through to, November 1st. And I blocked, I blocked the time when it's, for example, here is my kids' school break for, I don't know, but probably September. I start by blocking the activities that are predetermined. And then after that, I find the time. Anyways, I'm not going to go into that, but we do this for the monthly, the weekly, the bi-weekly, the daily. We really learn how to work with scheduling. And again, I'm not going to go check these out. There's also clips on my YouTube channel. All right. So finally, week 6, we get to what most people think about when they think about writing, which is style. And we take a deep delve into the academic style. This is where also you are invited. You're invited from the get-go to always be thinking about your own project and be working on your own project. But definitely when we get to style, we invite you to actually use examples from your own project. Sometimes we will, again, this is not our advanced workshop, so you don't read 25 pages from everybody else. So don't worry about that. It's not going to be like that. But, we might do an exercise when I say, write 100 words that describe the topic, question, and actions of your current project. Or if we talk about whatever different things about style, we're going to invite you to think about and share about and use your own project as an example. This is just one way to show you how, while you do this work that really is kind of more meta and you're creating your writing life, you actually cannot do that work without also working on your current project. So it's not turning your back on your ongoing project that you need to do. It works hands in hand. So style part 1 is hack your research paper structure. So I teach you my hack to really, really understand and quickly be able to kind of grasp and gain control that way over what your topic, your question, your action, the structure of your current project is. And again, I'm not going to go too much into that, because actually one of my most popular YouTube videos is called Hack Your Research Paper. So go check it out. It's on my YouTube channel. Then we do style part 2, which is narrative tool. So again, I'm going to just quickly say this. Did I already mention that academic writers are not trained as writers? There's a whole world out there of work that can teach you how to think about structure and about style. And there are really good, fantastic books and models and things that I've taken from the world of narrative or narrative nonfiction, more like it, because we do tell a story, right? As academics, a lot of, definitely if you write an article, if you write a book, maybe if you write a white paper, it's not a story, but even scientific, the most dry scientific publications are telling a story. So understanding some of the tools that come to us from narrative theory, for example, the tool of complication resolution, right? Every story, you take a reader by the hand, you say something went wrong, this is what went wrong, and then the story follows how what was complicated in the beginning got resolved. This is perfect for thinking about your academic project because your research question is the complication, right? And this is a rhetorical tool to make people get out of their own head, which is what happens in academic writing. We feel so isolated and insulated. If you think about narrative, it makes you think about the audience. And so I have people start thinking about their project as a story that they're telling. If you're telling a story about, right, your dissertation, then the problem you identified in the world is the complication, right? They're like, I want to tell you that this is a problem, this is a complication. And then the rest of the dissertation is different moves you're making to resolve the complication. All right. First you have to explain this, that, and that. And then you went out and did research or whatever, right? It's different things, but I like to think of these narrative tools as another way to help academics think about their writing structure. All right. Finally, week 8, we're going to have like our final live workshop. I'm not going to add another lesson because at this point we're wrapping up. There's also, I usually build, this is a condensed schedule. I usually try to build weeks when we don't have pre-recorded lessons because those could be a lot to work through. But again, I want us to do this over the summer. So week 8, there's no pre-recorded lesson, but we do the final workshop, which is called Finishing School. So it's about learning how to finish things, how to finish strong, how to deal with transitions and with finishing. And it's called also, I added this time, putting a plan to work, because we're going to take everything that we've done across the whole workshop and make sure everybody leaves the workshop when they have a good plan to put things to work. Now, listen, guys, I'm going to scroll down. I'm not going to read all of my pitch here, but if you are interested in learning and more details, go to the website. I'm going to post it also on the live, but it's everywhere on the group in the featured part, the announcement featured part of Academic Writers Unblocked. You can find it. You can go on the website. It says, what the workshop includes. I do want to say this, right? So the workshop includes forever access. So you get forever access to all the materials. It stays, you pay the one-time fee of whatever it is, and you get it forever. And people, I see, I can see the metrics because I'm housing these on my website. So I can see people go back and watch these lessons again and again. And a lot of the time I keep working with these people who take workshops with me, tend to come back and take more workshops. And sometimes I would be like, go back and watch lesson number 7, because I think right now this is what you need. And then next time we meet, we workshop that. So it's this basic foundational resource that can really keep serving you as you are building habits, because it takes time to build new habits. So you want to go back and remember what the approach was and how I taught it. So forever access to 7 pre-recorded lessons from me, 7 live sessions. The sessions are longer and they include discussion and Q&A, and they are also recorded, and they are also always available on the group that it stays, you have access for it. Also, you have office hours by demand, membership in this private Facebook group. I want to show you the Facebook group, so I'm going to stop sharing in a minute and show you this other one. Writing time, there's multiple writing prompts and exercise to help you practice this technique. And of course, there's a syllabus packed full of beautiful, impactful readings about the writing process, and all of that is included in PDF. If you want to scroll down more, there's a little bit about me, and then there are some testimonials from people who have taken my workshop. And it's kind of funny, all of these people are now, I think, taken like definitely more than 2. Some of them, I'm looking at you, Chris. Chris is right now in my advanced workshop, and she has taken, I think this is her 3rd or 4th, I'm not even sure, workshop. So clearly it's doing something that they appreciate and enjoy. All right, let me make sure. I want to go back and show you. All right, I'm going to share the screen again. Thank you for your patience, everybody. Hang on, where am I? Okay, just a sec. I want to show you the dedicated Facebook group you get. So what I'm going to show you right now is this Facebook group is from when I taught this in winter 2022. I just want to show everybody what you get. So, this is the Facebook group that the private hidden Facebook group that I open for you when you are in class. All right. So this is winter workshop 2022. And then you can see up here, right? There's discussion and everything I put in the group. And then there are the guides. I hope that you guys can see them. So I do it on Facebook because this allows me to it's for free. So that's another way for me to cut costs. It's not necessarily the easiest infrastructure for this, but it's easy enough. So you can see, for example, here is guide 1, right? So you see that each guide has the pre-recorded lesson. It's always first. And then after we do the live workshop, I put on the live workshop as well up here. But before we do that, so for example, for week 1, you have an intake questionnaire that you need to do about, it's a very serious, a little long exercise where I have you write and answer questions about your writing practice and how you deal with different situations that have to do with your writing. And then we workshop this. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, like really quick readings from my favorite authors about writing. And then you have the homework. And I say here, don't freak out, do as much or as little as you can. So you can see that there's certainly options for you to also do writing. Then you can see unit 2. Again, you see this is the pre-recorded lesson. You watch it. You can see here, this is the live workshop that we did that Friday, and it's available here. You can see some of the people. And then the readings, and usually, this is the class PowerPoint, right? I give you all this information, and this is homework for week 2. Okay, I know, I just wanted to give people a sense of what it is. So at this point in time, it's 10:45, again, in the East Coast, 5:45 here. So I have some time for if you guys have questions or comments, and if anybody that's on, I'll also open in the background, I'll open the Facebook. But if you're on the Zoom, and if you were watching this on Facebook Live and you want to join the Zoom, feel free to do so. The information is pinned to the top of Academic Writers Unblocked. There's the Zoom link. So yeah, any questions or comments? And guys, feel free to turn on your video cameras if you're on the Zoom and you want to introduce yourself or ask a question, or you can ask a question in the chat. Martha, I know you were sharing with me, and I wanted to actually talk about that. If you feel like jumping on, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you feel like jumping on, because I'm sure the questions you might have are going to be helpful for other people. So while Martha is thinking about whether or not she wants to do that, I can also tell you the following things. So I want to get a list going for those of you who want to join but feel like they cannot pay the $450, which is the early bird special, right? And a lot of you have indicated that you would want to join and you cannot afford it, but you don't feel comfortable asking for the discount. Please don't do that, okay? You can't get that which you don't ask for. So this is part of the things, I want to teach you, and I want to role model for you. So there is zero shame in asking for support and asking for help. So if you want, I might decide to run this entirely differently. I don't know, maybe I'll run it as a donation based and you donate what you want, whatever. It's really, I have this community. It is also a business, but I'm not for profit necessarily with every single thing I do. And the way I see Foundational, it's really been helping create this entire movement and the community. And when you kind of give your energy towards something like that, it ends up kind of feeding back. So I'm very happy to try to accommodate you all and see what can be done so that we can have a group. I already do have several people who asked for this group, and they even bought more expensive packages where they're doing one-on-one work because a group was not available. So there is a beginning of a group. let me know if you want to be in the group. If the timing is not right, let me know. If the price is not right, let me know. If everything is right, what are you waiting for? Go on the website and join Foundational Workshop. All right, let me look in the chat and see if anybody has questions or anything you want me to talk about. So Martha, you said, I don't know if you're hearing me right now, but you did indicate, you said that you were working on your proposal. Do you want to jump on?
Hi. Yes, sure.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So yeah, tell me a little bit, and I'll just let you know we're not seeing you in case you do want to. I'm going to do gallery view. You're very welcome to open your camera if you want to.
Okay, thank you. I just did not do my hair this morning.
Oh,
so
it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to. You were very,
I know.
You're very beautiful. I found you very beautiful this morning. So
Thank you, Sharon. So I guess I feel like I know what I want to do. I know what I want to write about. I've been reading a lot, and I just and what I keep telling myself is all I need is like 2 or 3 days of just intense writing. And maybe those are kind of bad habits and stories that I tell myself or the way that I've worked in the past. So what happens is that because I don't have like these long days of just writing, I don't do a little bit. So I don't, I don't
I hear you.
progress.
So
It's kind of what you were saying about this is what I need, but then I don't have it, so I'm not making progress.
Let me ask you a quick couple of questions here. So, because I would attack it, right, quote unquote, from several different ways. First of all, yeah, maybe you do need a few longer days at some point, right, of really dedicating yourself to writing. In which case, I will say, I don't care whatever else you have going in your life, because I've had situations where I had so much going. I was pregnant and with a newborn, and I just started a job, okay, something like that, right? And I needed that time. And until I actually learned to tell everybody, take the baby, you can take the pregnancy, but, just leave me alone. I need the 2 days. And you would be surprised how, people want to help. And so who's to say you cannot somehow, I get it, it might require some negotiation. So right off the bat, right, I will say, believe, I don't want to not believe what you're telling me that that you need, right? So I would just say this, it's never either or. I think the way I work with people is like, if you are more of a binge writer that you need, usually, and correct me if I'm wrong, usually the habit that comes with that is like, I'm going to wait until the very end. And then, I need that time where I can just do it. And because the deadline is close and my back is to the wall. Yeah.
Yes. I'd say I need like that adrenaline. I need that motivation to say, this is it.
So here is what I'm going to tell you. And this is what I teach people. Yes, there is, I call it, there are three kind of, it's not mine, I'm stealing it from Achety, who wrote A Writer's Time, Kenneth Achety. And he says, it's very simple. Every project has 3 kind of periods of time: beginning times, middle times, and end times. Okay. End times come with this oomph of adrenaline, what you're describing, right? But beginning times is when you just begin a project, actually require like, smaller focused effort, a lot of rest, actually procrastination, time to let yourself incubate. Okay. And it comes with the fresh excitement of beginning because it's new. Middle time has this challenge of, like, on the one hand, it's no longer new. So, the challenge with beginning time is also that, it's confusing because you've not weaved order out of the confusion yet of the new idea, right? So it takes time. And what you told me, Martha, and this is like, I'm cutting to the chase, is that you just started working on your dissertation proposal. I would tell you that you probably are in beginning times. And so wanting to be in this place where you're just doing this because there's a deadline, you can do it because you've done all the work and you have all the runway of really sitting with the beginning and giving yourself time to get confused and turned around in it, and, locate your topic, because locating your topic is a big task at the beginning. And again, I'm quoting from the I Ching, which is an ancient Chinese book that you might have heard of, when I say we weave order out of confusion when something is new. And this is the text for hexagram 3, which is talking about the beginning and something that's, when it's very new and innovative, you need time to get over the confusion, but the confusion is necessary. It's a necessary part of beginning an ambitious project. So as you can see from me talking about this, right, I think what I'm recognizing here is that you're confusing the magic of the deadline with something else. We tend to think we write well at the end because there's no more time, but we can't. What we really are doing is we're avoiding doing the work until we are so afraid that we force ourselves. And this is a very exhausting and not effective and devastating sometimes for your body and your mind way of working. So when I work with people who come in with this habit, which is like 100% of academics, what I really try to do is I say, you don't have to immediately relinquish and let go of this writing to the deadline part. You want to learn, however, how to slowly build a daily, and it could be 3 times a week. It depends on your life, really. It doesn't have to be daily always, but some sort of a more regular, more, I would almost say less ambitious practice. And you build the habit of just being there over time. And then you learn how to move the needle. And like sometimes what you do during, especially early on in a project, right? What you do in the time that you count as writing, right now you probably are not counting as writing, right? If you are trying to get inspired or you're sitting there confused about something, but you are with it, you're not online, you're not on Facebook, you're not doing something else, you're with it, I teach you to count that as work time. And that becomes very important. What do we count? I don't have people count word numbers, because sometimes a really good productive day of writing takes 3 pages and distills them into 1 really good page, right? So I think that's part of what I do is I teach people what are the actual stages of the writing process and how to learn what stage you're in and honor that stage. So if you're in the beginning, you need to give yourself that runway. So back to Martha's question, and I think she lost connectivity and kind of she's no longer was here all along. So I hope, Martha, you're watching this on Facebook or later. You should advocate for yourself to get the free time to write, if it's at all possible in your life. By the way, I always wanted that. And then when I finally would get it, you know what I would do? I would go to a hotel or something. And then I wouldn't want to work. I was so exhausted that I slept for 3 days. But I, again, learned later on that was what I needed. I needed the rest time. And then I could do better during my built-in daily routine practice. So I think there's a lot of fantasy that goes about, if I just have the time that is like endless stretching before me, I'm just going to be able to do it and it's going to be great. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. But what I would tell any academic writer listening to this right now is you already know how to write, binge write to the deadline when your back is to the wall with adrenaline, destroying your body, sometimes destroying your relationships, making everybody that lives with you hate you because you never wash the dishes because right now you have deadlines, okay? You already know that. I invite you to try to bring in a different way and try to learn how to include that other way, which is the slower kind of, I let myself have a process that's about beginning, middle, and end. I allow myself to do the incubation part, to really immerse in something until I get through the confusion of the beginning, which again is not a problem. It's a sign that you are writing a good project. If you are not confused at the beginning of a freaking dissertation or the academic book or an article, you're not doing this right. A good project is a puzzle that you are really obsessed with to solve. And it's a difficult puzzle, or it would not be a dissertation. It would be something everybody already had written about before, right? A dissertation covers new territory. A journal article does the same, et cetera, right? So my beloved academics, don't do this to yourself, right? Learn that there are stages to the process, and that the beginning stages look different than the end. And then if you don't try to be in this, like I'm at the end, writing until, the very last moment, until, you have to put your pencil down, then maybe you will be able to, create critical mass by attending to small periods of time. And yeah, I heard you also, Martha, you said, because I don't have this endless time, I just say, okay, I throw my hands up and I'm like, I'm not going to write. So thank you so much for sharing this, because this was exactly the kind of stuff that people bring up. And again, it comes up in workshop. We learn hacks and tricks and ways to, and practices to move away from, and what we practice it together, and we catch ourselves when we relapse, right? So the idea is not that I'm going to teach you this and immediately you're going to be able to create a new habit. It takes time to create a new habit, because our habits actually have physical manifestation in our brains. Our brains are plastic, but neurons that fire together. So basically, the way you've been doing things so far is engraved in your brain chemistry. It's hard for you to try you can't just get up and have a new habit. You have to build a new habit. So this is what we do in foundational workshop. We understand what the limitations are of our existing habits. We don't have to throw them in the trash can if they work for us sometimes, but we understand the limitations. And then we learn new habits that are better, more healthy, more self-compassionate. And then we come together as a group, and we have accountability as the group to make a shift in the way we approach and get a better outcome. Because of that, the writing improves, the writing life improves, everything improves. And again, I'm so proud to say, it's working for people. I now have people who've been working with me for, I want to say 5 years, maybe more, and have taken foundational, and then they come back and they take more workshops. And these people are thriving. They enjoy their writing life more. They feel more relaxed. They have taken the guesswork out of writing. Do they relapse sometimes and feel horrible and bad? Yes, of course. It's a spiral. But when they come back around, they're not in the same place, right? Because the spiral grows like this, right? So I really, really hope that those of you who are listening to this and have interest, consider investing in this. I want to say another thing about the money. I know, listen, I get it. I know what the global economy is. But a couple of things about that. Investing in your writing is probably the best money investment. And honestly, if I could go back in time and pay $450 and get everything I'm trying to give you guys now, back when I was, either a graduate student or a young PhD mom with babies, or pregnant and then with 2 babies, trying to, do the tenure track thing and still write, I would pay $10,000 right now if I could go back and teach that poor little mama what I know now. So I just want to say, if you trust that the product is good and you can make some, make your own calculations, investing in this is not some sort of crazy luxury, because success in academia, your professional success, which means your money, the money you will make, the job that you will get, depends on your writing. Yet there's this gap that universities don't teach us how to do the work of writing. So I can tell you that I've seen people getting amazing jobs, finishing degrees that were stuck, and then because of that, being on the market the next year and nabbing that one available job in a field. That happens to my students. I'm so happy and proud to say, I'm not going to take the credit. The credit is theirs, they're amazing, but they did invest in coming in and doing this work, and it did help them. And they come back and tell me that, so I will tell you. So I know that money feels tight for everybody around the world right now, but I will tell you that I would consider investing in this before investing in other things, if possible. On top of all of that, I am here and I'm open to hear of those of you who might need some support, extra support. And again, as I said, the more people come in, the more I can turn around and offer discounted, even very, very deeply discounted scholarship spots in the workshop. So enough said about that, because I'm kind of repeating myself. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm looking also, I'm monitoring the live feed. Oops, sorry, that's me. So if you're watching this live and you have questions, let me know. If you watch this later and you have any question that you want answered about the workshop, what we do, the payments, etc., I will quickly say this. If you watch this and you're in the place where you're like, I'm ready to take the workshop, go grab the early bird special. It's still there. It's $450. You can just pay it on PayPal. There's an additional charge for the PayPal fees because they're crazy. So I added like a $10. So if you want to pay the $450 and you don't want to add the $10, talk to me. We can find fee-free ways to pay. You know, there's if you're in the United States, Zelle is for free, and we can find different ways, or we can do a bank transfer, whatever it is. So talk to me about that. If you are watching this again and you want to do it and you can't afford it, and there's a legit reason, whatever it is, no judgment here. But please let me know, because the sooner you let me know, the higher up you are on the list, the wait list to get those scholarships. Okay, so don't, and there's no strings attached. If you're on the list and I have a scholarship for you and you don't want to take it, I just move down the list. So let me know. All right, I'm hitting my time limit here, so I need to go on. But definitely let me know if you have any other questions, comments, concerns, if I'm not covering anything that you need to know. If you want some access to see some of the live workshops that I've done before, or look at the readings, or any of these things, I'm happy to do that. As I told you before, I'm traveling. I'm going to be back in the United States after the 4th of July, and after the 4th of July, and after the 4th of July holiday, I will probably spend an intense week trying to finalize this. And then I will be available also for if you wanted to chat with me one-on-one and tell me a little bit about what you have going on, etc. So if you're on the Zoom, you can stay here to say hi after I'm done. Other than that, kisses, salutations. I will see you soon. I'm ending the live on Facebook. And yeah, don't be a stranger. Let me know what's going on.